Welcome to the Folk School on Willow Creek, featuring University Distinguished Professor Tom Ezern, singing and telling stories from the Salon on Willow Creek.
I need a bed for the night, boys, and my horses need hay. I've been riding that grub line on the hot dish highway. Oh, they chaw tobacco thin in Kansas. They chaw tobacco thin in Kansas. They chaw tobacco thin and it dribbles down their chin, and then they lap it up again in Kansas. Oh, they churn the butter well in Kansas. They churn the butter well in Kansas. They churn the butter well, and the buttermilk they sell, and it gets lean as hell in Kansas. Oh, the potatoes, they grow small in Kansas. The potatoes, they grow small in Kansas. The potatoes, they grow small, and they dig 'em in the fall, and they eat 'em hides and all in Kansas. Well, they say that drink's a sin in Kansas. They say that drink's a sin in Kansas. Well, they say that drink's a sin, so they guzzle all they can, and then they throw it up again in Kansas. Come all who want to roam to Kansas. Come all who want to roam to Kansas. Come all who want to roam and build yourself a home and be happy with your doom in Kansas. Oh, I've been singing that song for 40 years, I believe, Dr. K. And didn't really know too much about the song when I used to sing it. Let's see, what have we got here? Well, see, here in the year of the 125th anniversary of the state of Kansas, did this issue, The Heritage of the Great Plains, for Emporia State, with Kansas folk songs. And I look at the roster there, and it's got good songs in it. The Kansas Immigrants, The Ballad of Quantrill, Kansas Boys, and In Kansas. But I look at these and I realize I really didn't know very much of the historical background of those songs in those days, because nobody did. You know, what there was, I put it in there. But we didn't know too much. And even now, within the past 3 years, I feel like it's just changed a quantum leap in the ability to document these songs. And for instance, a whole lot more verses to the song In Kansas. Now it starts as a tragic ballad. And it was known in this country, it was rediscovered in this country in the 1960s as a tragic ballad. And the American folk singer Carolyn Hester recorded a wonderful version of it, which you can find online. Just Google Carolyn Hester and Over There, or The Praties They Grow Small, the potatoes they grow small, because it's a song, it's sometimes known as the famine song, the Irish potato famine, and the tragedy of the Irish diaspora coming to America. But the song gets over here, and then it just shifts gears entirely, and it gets in the hands of music hall performers. Yeah, let's see, where's that one I had? Yeah. Example here, Gorman's Minstrels, performing in Clarksville, Tennessee in 1892, and they performed, as described in here, in Corkface. These are blackface minstrel groups, and they would color their faces using burnt cork. And they were singing The Potatoes Grow Small in Kansas, but they weren't singing the tragic version. They were singing something not much different from what I'm singing. Now this song takes various directions. It gets into the military and requires a lot of stanzas about a lot of places, unprintable. The mainstream of that song, though, as it enters popular music and then passes from that into folk music, is In Kansas, which at first people were singing the song to make fun of Kansas, and a pretty common preoccupation in the 19th century. Kansas and its prohibition ways and its allegedly hairy-legged young settlers and all kinds of things like that. But then the people in Kansas began to adopt it. Kind of the way Norwegian immigrants eventually adopted Norwegian jokes. They appropriated them. The people in Kansas began to sing the song on themselves. Now, the verses I sang were mainly, I lifted from Roger Welch's book, Nebraska Folklore. Now, Roger Welch, I met a few times, including once in Bismarck, North Dakota. And I were both getting off the plane. It turns out we were going to speak at the same gathering, and he was in overalls. And he explained he always wore overalls for flying because it was the most comfortable thing to wear on a fly. Roger passed away a year ago. Wonderful folklorist, a wonderful fellow. His stanzas are largely what I just sang, but I've got more now. I'll give you some. Grasshoppers, they run loose in Kansas. Grasshoppers, they run loose in Kansas. Grasshoppers, they run loose and they spit tobacco juice and they're bigger than a goose in Kansas. Oh, the roosters, they lay eggs in Kansas. Oh, the roosters, they lay eggs in Kansas. Oh, the roosters, they lay eggs as large as beer kegs and they got whiskers on their legs in Kansas. Oh, the whiskey it is scarce in Kansas. Oh, the whiskey it is scarce in Kansas. Oh, but if you would a drink, well, give a Democrat the wink, and he'll get it before you think in Kansas. Oh, it never rains at all in Kansas. Except it rained 2 inches there a couple hours ago. It never rains at all in Kansas. Oh, it never rains at all till they fire a cannonball, and then they get it all in Kansas. Old maids, they are none in Kansas. Old maids, they are none in Kansas. When they hear Kit 31, the sheriff gets a gun, and he shoots them just for fun in Kansas. Okay. The girls, they grow tall in Kansas. Now the girls, they grow tall in Kansas. The girls, they grow tall and they marry in the fall, and the boys, they hug them all in Kansas. Oh, they raise lots of weed in Kansas. They raise lots of weed in Kansas. They raise lots of weed, they got plenty there to eat, and they never wash their feet in Kansas. I think you get the drift of it. That's in Kansas. It's a song that was really well known. Everybody could quote a verse of it. Usually the potatoes grow small verse. People would quote the verse, including William Allen White in the Republican National Convention, quoted the potatoes grow small in Kansas in his speech to the delegates. That's our first ballad of the evening. What else we got going here? Any news from NDSU Press?
Well, I will throw out a reminder if anybody in the North Dakota or nearby environs is planning to go bus to Belcourt with us on July 27.
Why would we bus to Belcourt?
The seats are filling up. We are headed up to Belcourt, to Turtle Mountain, where there will be a big celebration for Denise Lodge-Modier being appointed by the North Dakota legislature as North Dakota's Poet Laureate. And the Turtle Mountain Community College is hosting a luncheon, and there'll be various honor speakers and an honor and drum song. Denise is going to read from her poetry, and then we'll all visit for a while, and then we'll all head back home. So we have a bus departing from Bismarck and one from Fargo, and we hope to fill up all the seats.
And I'm not singing.
And you have no job.
No job whatsoever.
All you have to do is be friendly and kind and enjoy the program.
Yeah. Yep. Sounds good.
Yeah, just if you are interested in going, and you want to save a seat, then write to ndsu.press@ndsu.edu, and I can reserve a seat.
It sounds like a heck of a day. Good company going up and down, up and back.
There's quite a few dignitaries who have signed on to go as well.
Oh, probably some
even to ride the bus.
College administrators and things like that.
Some college administrators, but House Representative out of South Dakota, Tamara St. John, is going to join us.
Yes, indeed.
We've got Senator Tim Mathern and...
Seat them separately.
Huh?
Seat them separately.
Well, it's a big bus.
They'd be on different sides of the aisle.
It's a big bus. Senator Tim Mathern and Ryan Braunberger are coming, and then some really interesting people like Ramona Klein, who was one of the interviewees for Denise's book, Stringing Rosaries. Yeah. So we've already kind of picked each other to sit in a seat together and chat on the way out.
It's great you organized that. And it's great that I don't have to do darn thing.
What's really great is people are donating funds and time to get us there and to make it happen. So that's the really great part.
Let's see. I called this episode tonight our Chokecherry Moon episode. And it is getting into the Chokecherry Moon. This is the state of the chokecherries just outside here, about 30 feet from where I'm sitting, where all our green ashes got killed out by floods. This is before the ash plague, the ash bugs. And so I put in chokecherries and native plum, and this is prettier stuff and edible.
That looks beautiful on the screen.
Does it?
Yes, it does.
And the aroma of chokecherry and the native plum when they're both in bloom, it's heavy and delightful. Yeah, the chokecherries, and there are all kinds of other things coming on. I have no idea. See whether our folks from Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and such have any idea. Would you have known at all what this was when you were in Texas, Dr. K?
I never heard of it till we moved here.
A kohlrabi, a delightful garden vegetable, and a semi-lethal weapon.
Don't do that.
Yes, indeed. The kohlrabis. Yeah, we've got stuff. We're really eating well these days, and doing well with ballads too. Revisiting a couple that you've heard before, but there's always new dope on it. There's a classic outlaw ballad of the Great Plains, the Ballad of Sam Bass, which most people think of as a Texas song. Actually, Sam Bass's outlaw career spans South Dakota, or I should say Dakota Territory first, Nebraska, and then back to Texas where he meets his demise. The Ballad of Sam Bass, Jack Thorpe and John Lomax, the songcatchers, both credit it to one John Denton of Gainesville, Texas. But that's darn near Denton, so I can't figure out what John Denton that would be. I can't match that up with a real person. And those guys have been known to get things wrong before, and then they copy from one another. One day I'll track down who for sure wrote the Ballad of Sam Bass. And maybe it was a John Denton, but there's several of them identifiable there. The song began to circulate very shortly after Sam Bass's death, but it kind of goes the way of many cowboy songs. I sing a lot of settler songs, and I always brag that I've got 50 versions of Little Old Sod Shanty on the Claim, and that's a conservative estimate, folks. But the settler songs, they proliferate because of the newspapers. The cowboy songs, not so much. Cowboy songs get into the papers, but it's like a generation after they were circulating as oral lore on the range itself. And so then you get a remembered version, and that, to a folklorist, that's really interesting. That, here's how the song is remembered, and it goes different directions. So Sam Bass, born in Indiana in 1851, lit out for the Southwest. Sometime around 1871, arrives in North Texas. I got an idea where he was in between time. I'll reveal that in a moment. which doesn't appear among his biographers. He worked as a ranch hand, stable hand, a teamster, developed an interest in fast horses, began running one that they called the Denton Mare there in North Texas and taking prize money all over the place. Then he and a fellow named Joel Collins put together a herd of beef cattle, drove them up to the Black Hills, which in the mid-1870s were under goldfield development, sold them there, blew their profits, and then took to robbing and killing after that, picked up a few more accomplices. Moving out of Dakota Territory, where they're kind of small potatoes, they pulled into Nebraska and at Big Springs pulled off probably the most infamous train robbery in American history, making off from the Union Pacific train and stopped at Big Springs Station with $60,000 in $20 gold pieces. A heck of a lot of loot for those days. And then they split up to try to evade capture. They knew there'd be a big hunt on with the railroads financing it behind that. And eventually, then Sam made his way back to North Texas. The country was kind of settled up. It was hard to hide out. And eventually, Texas Rangers, particularly John Jones, commander of the Frontier Battalion, tracked him down. And with help of an accomplice within Bass's gang, they shot him down on the 19th of July, 1878. It's got great outlaw ballad themes. Now, what have I got that's new at this time? Because I've talked about this ballad before. I've got new versions. You know, I went downstream and said, okay, how's this ballad remembered? Here's a great text from El Paso in 1902. But what I'll talk about for a moment here is from Montana in 1919. Now, Montana, it's kind of the last stand of the open range cattle industry and the stockmen's associations. And there, the old stockmen would get together well into the 20th century after the open range cattle industry was long gone, but they'd get together for livestock industry interest groups, meeting the Livestock Association there, but also to reminisce and kind of the institutional memory for the Montana stockmen were a couple of guys, D.J. O'Malley, who's written some ballads we sung in the Willow Creek Folk School, and Teddy Blue Abbott, who's well known for his sort of ghost-written autobiography, We Pointed Them North. And both those guys, when they got together and were hobnobbing with the cattlemen, these were not big-time cattlemen, these were range cowboys, but they also worked as stock detectives and things like that, and so they knew the big cattlemen. They would sing. They would sing the ballads of the old days. Teddy Blue claimed that he knew Sam Bass personally before Bass went outlaw. He says, Sam Bass, as a song written by some cowpuncher with an itching for poetry, says, was born in Indiana. As a young man, he drifted west, and the year 1871 found him working for J.B. Abbott, father of Teddy Blue, at Lincoln, Nebraska, when that town was the northern terminus of the Texas Trail. Now, that's missing from other biographical accounts of Sam Bass. Teddy Blue remembers Sam Bass as a good-looking, likable young fellow, as he's described in the ballad, who was considered a good man and was a general favorite. At the time, Teddy was a youngster, and Bass, taking a fancy to the boy, used to take him out with him sometimes when he was standing guard with a herd. In 1872, after a year or two at Lincoln, Teddy says Bass went south to Texas, and he never saw him again. Well, sure enough, I've got Teddy Blue's 1919 Montana version of the Ballad of Sam Bass. Whoa. My key will work. Sam Bass was born in Indiana. It was his native home. And at the age of 17, young Sam began to roam. He first went to Texas, a cowboy for to be. I better better-hearted fellow you'd scarcely ever see. Sam used to deal in race stock, had a one called a Denton mare. He watched her at scrub races, and he ran her at the fair. Sam used to coin the money, and he just spent it as free. He always drank red liquor wherever he might be. Red liquor, I might pause to explain, means that Sam Bass did not drink homespun hooch, which is clear, but he drank liquor that had aged and in casks and gotten red, you see. Sam started from Joe Collins' ranch in the merry month of May, with a herd of Texas cattle the Black Hills to see. Sold out in Custer City, and then gone on a spree. A harder lot of fellers you'd scarcely ever see. On the way back to Texas, they robbed the UP train. All split up in couples and started out again. Joe Collins and his partner were overtaken soon. With all their gold and silver, they had to meet their doom. Now Sam arrived in Texas all right side up with care. Rode into the town of Denton, its pleasures for to share. Sam's life was short in Texas because of robberies he'd do. He robbed the mail and express car, and he robbed the passengers too. Sam met his fate in Round Rock on July the 21st. They filled poor Sam with the rifle balls, and Jackson got his purse. Now Sam's a corpse in Round Rock, a mouldering in the clay. Jackson's in the bushes, trying to get away. Jackson's in the bushes, trying to get away. And you can still visit the grave of Sam Bass there at Round Rock, Texas. Dr. K, we've got to swing by there and see that one day.
Okay.
But, have we got any friends with us tonight, Dr. K?
Yes, we do. Melvina and John, you saw, were on from Oklahoma, and they noted that today is Woody Guthrie's 111th birthday.
Yeah, we kind of celebrated that before because we didn't think we'd be on the air tonight.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. But happy birthday, Willie, at the Great Stage in the Sky. Or Woody at the Great Stage in the Sky. Willie later.
Don't mix the two.
I mentioned before, online, I doubt we've got folks from back home in Barton County with us tonight because of the After Harvest Festival going on, because of the big storm that swept through the middle part. Ellenwood, great band, that territory tonight. But it is your proverbial $1 million rain, so, we're not going to turn it down. Up in these parts, anybody who's looking for things to do, I tell you, it just wears you out trying to keep up on the northern plains, and people are trying to squeeze everything into these summer months because there's just darn few weeks to work with. Edgar County Fair. County fairs are going off like firecrackers, and firecrackers usually going off at the county fairs too. Edgar County, Mott, North Dakota, 14th and 16th. What I look here? Yeah. Oh, okay. See, they commonly have musical features going on, the usual county fair stuff. But see, what attracts me is tomorrow night, Saturday night, the 15th, in Mott at the fairgrounds, 8:30. The musical feature of the night is the Mud Butte Band. Okay, I mean, there are all kinds of touring bands that you can pull in. But when you got a territorial band as your feature at the county fair, that is That's the bee's knees for me. A little closer to us here, 12th through the 16th, so we're in the middle of it. The Kidder County Fair is going on in Steele with the Great American Duck Race. What the heck that is, I have no idea. But all kinds of goofy events, the kind of stuff you do at small town county fairs. Rodeo on Sunday with final performance at 3 p.m. Fireman's Community Supper tonight. Shoot. Here we were sitting eating chili dogs here at home. They were good, though.
Yes, they were.
What's on tomorrow? Oh, youth livestock shows going on, as they say. And the parade at 9 a.m. in Steele, North Dakota, the Kidder County Fair.
Easy for you to say.
If we wanted to pop over to someplace easy tomorrow, Dr. K, I got some stuff I want to do back out here in the garden, around the property. I got quite a bit of work to do at my desk. But if I got free a couple hours in the afternoon, I might just shuffle off to Buffalo. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. No, I don't know what's
the
happening.
The annual summer Saturday event in Buffalo, North Dakota. The Shuffle Off to Buffalo, North Dakota.
And what happens when you get there?
Well, there's a program. Tonight there was a picnic, supper, and beer garden going on, so I presume considerable drinking is going on tonight, to tell the truth. All afternoon tomorrow, musical features going on, food vendors, kids' carnival games, and here's the feature, the Red Trail Vineyard is setting up a wine bar. I don't know, I might just swing by for a convivial glass on that. But Buffalo's close, right? But, you throw a rock in from anywhere in the northern prairies this time of year, and you hit some kind of a community festival going on. And thanks for handing me this out of the printer where I forgot it, Dr. K. The wonderful article in the Hillsboro Banner this week, which is an outstanding country town paper. Hillsboro, just up the road north, 50 miles from here. Linda's Barn Dances still going strong after 34 years. Suppose we could get to one yet this year.
So.
We better check Elroy's calendar. Elroy, we'll check the calendar. Hope we can get up to one of your dances yet. I know they've invested. He has air conditioned the barn loft for Pete's sake.
What?
Yes. I hope it was deductible. Yeah. And this is a wonderful ride-up. Seated on a padded stool with a guitar on his hip, Elroy Lindis pauses to address the crowd huddled in the hayloft of his 74-year-old barn on his farm northeast of Mayville. The former District 20 state senator and retired third-generation farmer hits the final note in Blue Eyes Crying on the Rain, but stops for a moment before striking up the Tennessee Waltz. And that's the way it goes up in Elroy's barn. It's a great time. Yeah. And all sorts of possibilities for romance.
Well, there are all those sofas.
There are all those sofas, yeah. Don't call them love seats for nothing. Here on this Chokecherry Moon, I suppose what we're talking about is Ballad just dropping off the trees like ripe fruit during the Chokecherry Moon here. They're coming ripe for us. I wanted to say a word about a songcatcher who shares the birthday quite a few years earlier with Woody Guthrie. Myra Hull of southern Kansas, born in 1878. Celebrating her birthday a little bit early here tonight. Yeah, she doesn't share she's actually 2 weeks after Woody Guthrie's birthday, coming up on the 28th of this month. Now, why are we talking about Myra Hull? At one time, she would have been the leading folk song collector on the Kansas scene. Nebraska had Louise Pound. Texas had John Lomax. Even Oklahoma, it had its own song collectors. North Dakota had Franz Rickaby, but Myra Hull was, at one time she had the best collection of songs until Joni O'Brien came along in Wichita a generation later. Myra was born on a farm near Augusta, Kansas. Her ancestors on his father's side were New England Puritans. She went through local common schools, high school, took up teaching high school English. She taught in Nickerson, for people who know that part of the country, taught at Reno County High School, and then went back to college. She'd been operating on a normal certificate, from normal institute training. And then she went back off to college at KU and began to study literature. And then hooked up there, never on like a tenure track professorship, but on an instructorship or lectureship, teaching English for darn near half a century. I know she was teaching there by 1920. For a while in the 20s, she was living with her mother in Lawrence. I suspect her father passed away through that time, and then her mother moved up to Lawrence and lived with her there. She was still teaching there in 1940. Here's a note I find that in 1939, she was speaking to the Women's Dining Club at the Ormond Hotel in Kansas City, driving over for Lawrence. It says she began collecting songs 10 years ago. Now it's a collection of 120 songs. Now this is kind of interesting. John Lomax, Roaming the Country, Jack Thorpe, riding from cow camp to cow camp. Myra does not go out ballad hunting, as do most collectors, but for the most part, she has collected them and set them down from memory. That is, her girlhood memory. Both words and music, as she heard them sung. Most of them are recollections of the old songs sung by her parents. To these, she added the songs of her pioneer relatives and neighbors. Now, I'm about to sing what I think is the coolest song in her collection, if I can find it in my note. Oh, there it is. That's it, sure enough. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, Get Along Little Doggies. Another really well-known cow camp ballad. But Myra Hull's text, which she took down from her uncle, she not only took down the text, she took down the melody as he sang it, and it's just different. The earliest text that I know of comes from the author of the Virginia, Owen Wister, who took one down in about 1890. This is later, and she published this text in 1939. But it's as her uncle sang it, and nobody else sang it quite this way. And it's just an unbelievably cool rendering of it. I know I got a pick here somewhere. I'm going to try to do it. It's not that easy. As I was walking one morning for pleasure, spied a cowpuncher riding along. His hat was thrown back, the spurs were a-jingling. As he approached, he was a-singing this song. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggy, it's more misfortune and none of my own. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggy, you know that Wyoming will be your new home. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggy, it's your misfortune, none of my own. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggy, you know that Wyoming's gonna be your new home. Now early in the springtime we round up the doggies, mark 'em and brand 'em and bob off their tails. Round up the horses, load up the chuck wagon, throw the doggies out on the trail. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggy, it's your misfortune and none of my own. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggies, you know that Wyoming's gonna be your That's where they get it most awfully wrong. Oh, you got no idea the trouble they cause us as we go driving those doggies along. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggy, that's your misfortune and none of my own. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggies, you know that Wyoming's gonna be your new home. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggy, you know misfortune and none of my own. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggies, you know that Wyoming's gonna be your new home. Your mama's raised way down in Texas where the gypsum weed and the sandburs grow. We'll fill you up on prickly pear and show you, throw you on the trail to Idaho. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggy, that's your misfortune and none of my own. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggy, you know that Wyoming's gonna be your new home. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggy, that's your misfortune and none of my own. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggy, you know that Wyoming's gonna be your new home. Oh, I ain't got no father, I ain't got no mother. My friends, they all left me when first I did wrong. I ain't got no sister, I ain't got no brother. I'm a poor lonesome cowboy and a long way from home. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggy, that's your misfortune and none of my own. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggy, you know that Wyoming's gonna be your new home. Once more. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggy, that's your misfortune and none of my own. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little doggy, you know that Wyoming's gonna be your new home. Whew, thank you, Myra Hull, for setting that down for us.
That won you a whole bunch of hearts.
Well, it's the song, I tell you. Did she know that what she was sitting down was utterly distinctive in the annals of that classic song? I would like to know whether she knew what she had there in her hands. Well, we know.
Well, she knew it was important.
Yeah.
To preserve.
Yeah. Bless her heart.
Hey, you forgot to mention about a hiatus.
I'm about to.
Oh, okay.
Then explain it.
Okay.
Folks, we're going to take a couple weeks off of the Willow Creek Folk School because stuff that is going on, right? You know, we're waiting for, we're on pins and needles waiting for a Blessed Family event about to happen. I've got an obligation to work up a program for the State Historical Society, for the teachers of the state here. We've got Suzanne's got the obligation of organizing the trip to Botno.
To Belcourt.
Or Belcourt, excuse me. Belcourt, and ramrodding that, and things have just crunched up such that we're not controlling our calendar very well right now. You know, and people call, we may have to do things. And it just seemed best, okay, let's lay it to rest. Let's lay it to rest for 2 weeks, and we're going to do a little summer hiatus here during the Chokecherry Moon and enjoy the turning of the chokecherries purple, if anybody gives us a chance. We may be kind of hustling here during this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that means we plan to be back here in the salon on the 4th of August.
The 5th of August.
That's the 5th of August.
Is what you have on the calendar here.
Excellent. On the 5th of August, then.
Whatever's Friday.
You know, there's another event that falls in there, too.
What's that?
Something we don't celebrate that much.
We recognize it every year.
What year was it?
We got married in 2007.
Got married? Is that what you were thinking of?
Yes.
Oh, okay. 2007. And what day?
July 28th.
July the 28th. Myra Hull's birthday.
Well, that's what you keep saying, but on your notes here you say 12th of July.
I am mixed up. She was born in July. And we were married.
In July.
In July. That's close enough.
That's all we need to know.
You know, the farther away you get from it, you know, it's like throwing rock. You get pretty close. And
well,
you
July
get
28th, 2007.
July 28th. And you remember where it happened?
Right. Yes.
Underneath this Macintosh apple tree right out here.
Right.
Which promptly died the following year.
It wasn't so prompt, but it did die.
See, that's the way I remembered that,
It didn't just keel over.
that we killed it. And now we've got the first decent crop from the replacement apple tree that we put down there, the Harrelson out there, and it's going to give us a few pies here. So we're coming on, and now you think about it, a whole lot of things have changed here. This stand of chokecherries out here that I take such delight in, and the wild plum, and of course. We've got to pick currants this weekend. Red ones, black ones, and cherries. North Star cherries.
Cherries are ready.
Yeah, they're coming this weekend. I checked. The hailstone storm did not knock them down yesterday.
Excellent.
Well, in other words, we've got a very fruitful place here. And one of my favorite additions to the horticultural landscape of the property here on Willow Creek is the pair of mulberry trees. North Dakota winter hardy mulberries. They lived for more than a century out in Valley City, and so it's from that stock of that old tree there. We got them planted in the back corners near the creek of the property here. And I like to think that I'm going to see them grow, and that you and I will spread tarps under them and shake the fruit from the branches, which is how you do with mulberries if you're doing them in quantity. And that there will be bare feet stained purple from the mulberries. And automobile windshields of all our neighbors mysteriously blotched with blobs of purple too. Yes, indeed, that mulberry. I got to thinking about that, and it led to a calendar ballad. I got one more question. You remember what was sung at that wedding ceremony, and what year was it?
2007, but I don't remember the name of the song.
Well, see, people remember different things.
Yes.
Okay, so I remember what was sung.
That's because you were singing it.
Well, I guess that's...
or are you talking about the one that Emily sang?
That's right.
Okay.
You remember all of our musicians fell through, so I played behind her that day. Which turned out, that was nice.
It worked out just fine.
That was great. She sang it well. Mm-hmm. I'll do the best I can with a couple stanzas of it. And there's some other things worked into it in our calendar ballad for tonight. Believe me, if all those endearing young charms which I gaze on so fondly today were to fade by tomorrow, flee from my arms like fairy gifts fading away. Thou would still be adored as this moment thou art. Let thy loveliness fade as 'twill, as around the dear ruin each wish of my heart twill entwine itself verdantly still. In the merry month of May in 2023, roots in the old black earth. We'll remember this year of healing and birth underneath our mulberry tree. It is not wild beauty, and you are thine own, and thy cheek unprofaned by tears that fervor and faith of a love and be shown, to which time will but make thee more dear. Though the heart that is truly loved never forgets, but is truly love's own is close as the sunflower turns on the sun when he sets, the same look that she turned when he rose. It is my daily prayer, it is my earnest plea, we'll see our great-grandchildren's bare feet purple stained when we are fourscore have attained underneath our mulberry tree. I've been throwing horseshoes over my left shoulder, spent most all my life looking for that four-leaf clover. When you run with me, babe, chasing the rainbow, honey, I love you too. That's the way love goes. That's the way love goes, babe. That's the music God made for all the world to sing. It never gets old, it grows, blues and makes me sorry. You say, honey, don't worry, honey, I love you too. That's the way love goes. That's the way love goes, babe. That's the music God made for all the world to sing. It never gets old, it grows, makes me sorry. You say, honey, don't worry, honey, I love you too. That's the way love goes. Underneath our mulberry tree, Sam used to deal in a race stock, had one called the Denton Mare. He matched her in scrub races, ran her at the county fair. See, he coined money, he spent it just as free. He always drank good liquor wherever he might be. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, little darling. It's yours is a fortune and none of my own. Whoopie-Ti-Yi-Yo, get along, darling. You know Wyoming where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy, all the day. No, the skies are not cloudy all day. Dr. Kelly.
We now conclude today's edition of the Folk School on Willow Creek. We invite you to join us again Friday, August 4, 8 p.m. Central Time for more songs and stories.